No, we have to.
That's fine.
Ask
We can always
questions.
edit it out.
Oh,
Okay.
questions.
I think just first of all, if you'll just introduce yourself and just kind of give a brief synopsis of what you did your first year and what you're doing now.
Okay, my name is Bobby Alvarez. I'm from originally Southern California, LA area, and I was a youth development volunteer for my first 2 years. My first year I was involved in a lot of different youth development projects, specifically working out of the school, creating extracurricular activities for students after school. For instance, we founded a night soccer league, like Futbolito Rápido is what we call it here, on a basketball court. The previous volunteer had actually used partnership to raise money to build a basketball court. I was able to work with the mayor and we put lights in on the court to provide a nighttime atmosphere for the kids in which they could basically arrive to play and participate and be involved. Aside from that, I did a few other kind of more health projects, but it always helps out the youth. You know, we did smoke-free wood-burning stoves, which really helped out a lot. Also, another thing inside of the school that we did was in terms of extracurricular activities, we did a lot of kind of art stuff, a lot of sports, giving PE classes in basketball, and then at the end of the basketball classes, we had like a big tournament. That was like their introduction to basketball, like here for the first time. So it was really interesting. Second year was more focused on kind of community development. I worked a lot with the ADESCO, which is the community board. I organized a 2-week-long training. The training sessions were 3 hours long. I had speakers coming in from around the country basically to impart knowledge onto them, leadership, project development and management, different kind of things like that. In addition to that, with those wood-burning stoves, back to that, we had around 205 of them dispersed throughout the municipality there. We also worked a lot with international NGOs that have come in and done a lot of different latrine projects and stuff like that. So it's basically been so much, I really can't remember every single detail, so I'm just going to move on to my third year. So as a third year volunteer, I am currently working with another organization called El Salvador, which was founded by ex-Peace Corps volunteers as a way to filter money into El Salvador. Specifically, I'm working with them in disaster relief. In November of 2009, there were heavy rains as a result of Hurricane Ida, and these caused big flooding and mudslides and landslides, and it affected a lot of different people within the San Vicente area. More than 200 people died, and communities were displaced all over the place. So with this funds from El Salvador, I've been on the ground doing community needs assessment, and as a result of that, we've come up with 3 projects that we are currently doing with the different communities, which equate to about 250 families. One project is psychological help, which we are going to be offering on a continued basis to a specific list of people that have shown side effects from the trauma that they've sustained, and so we're going to be offering this to them. I'm assembling a team of psychologists with help from coordinators from both municipal governments, as well as coordinators from the states and in the capital to help get this team going, to go out to San Vicente and actually give these sessions, one-on-one and group sessions, to children and adults that were affected by this. In addition, we're working with an international NGO called 1 Million Lights, and we're going to disperse solar lamps to every one of the families, so 250 solar lamps. They're currently living in provisional housing and they have no electricity, so the solar lamps are really going to be a huge thing for them, because essentially they're living in darkness right now. They're burning through candles like crazy, and money to pay for batteries for flashlights is just not there. So this is going to be a huge contribution to the communities. In addition to that, we're also doing a chicken project, a chicken module project for one of the communities. It was previously an urban community, and then it got switched over to a rural community due to displacement, and they aren't really sure how to get by in the rural life, so we're giving them trainings and basically giving them a way to make a living in the rural environment. So
Tell us about your work as a regional leader.
my work as a regional leader is volunteer-based. It is my job, first and foremost, to support volunteers emotionally, professionally, in any way possible. You know, like if they have a certain project they want to get started, they'll call me up. They're like, "Oh, Bobby, I want to do a cooking class, or I want to start a bakery or something like that." I'll be like, "Okay," and I'll help them to kind of concretize, you know, their ideas, because sometimes volunteers have like these high ideas, but they don't really have the understanding of how to get it going, and maybe sometimes they reach a little too far. It's my job to kind of help them come back down and really help them take some realistic steps towards the goal. Yeah, more than anything is emotional support, including site visits at the 10 to 12 week mark, as well as the 1 year mark.
And why did you decide to extend?
I extended primarily because of the regional leader position that was opening up. I always said I wouldn't have extended as a normal volunteer because, well, my mom's always told me, like, your next step always has to be up or forward. You know, moving sideways would have been a third year for me staying in the community. But this regional leader position gave me the opportunity to develop more and to grow more professionally and personally, and just the opportunity to be able to support volunteers that are going through the same things that I went through, the same struggles, the same worries, the same anxieties, and to be able to impart my knowledge to them. I mean, that's the dream of every RPCV, right? It's like you want to be able to share the things that you've learned, and what better way to do it than volunteers that are currently going through the same things that you went through. So I've really enjoyed that opportunity, and it's been very rewarding.
What do you think the third year has given you in terms of your professional development or what you could bring into a future career?
Third year is definitely, professionally, has taken it to the next level. Like, I developed a lot of skills during my first 2 years. I've refined them in my third year. This third year, in terms of really being able to carry myself, to have that presence to walk into some of the bigger agencies or ministry buildings and tell them, you know, straight up, I'm a regional leader, I'm coordinador regional, give them my business card, and just to have that presence and not be afraid to ask for stuff and to stand ground and to kind of, you know, fight for people, you know what I mean, and defend communities, you know, and then just having that ability to be assertive with people that are in power is something that is really going to serve me in the future. And just the other part of being a support, an avenue of support for volunteers is also something I feel like I can take with me into my professional life. If I'm going to be a manager, supervisor in any type of job, like, you know, I've helped volunteers get through one of the most stressful events that a human being can go through. You know, I've seen the different stats on Peace Corps, so I feel like that could easily cross over.
And do you know what you want to do when you return from Peace Corps? And
I want to go to grad school. I'm looking at PhD programs in social psychology, social personality, and one program in applied developmental psychology. With that, after I graduate, I'd hope to continue working in the nonprofit sector, primarily with Latino youths, gang diversion type of programs, stuff like that. I'd also like to continue to dabble in the international stuff, although I think my focus will remain kind of with the Latino youth.
How do you see your third year in terms of your career goals?
My third year has been a step in the direction that I see my life going in. That was one of the reasons I stayed. It's really given me a lot of opportunities. Your first 2 years, you have your community, and your community is the center of your work world, your personal world, everything. My third year, I had a replacement volunteer on my site, so I moved to a pueblo, a more centralized location, and this is, in a way, kind of freed me up to do a lot of the things that I wanted to do as a normal volunteer, but didn't have the time. So this has really helped me to kind of spread my wings out a little bit, do a lot of the really bigger projects involving more NGOs, more international aid, with multiple municipalities, a lot of stuff I wanted to do but didn't have the time or the resources. Now I have that available to me, so it's definitely been a step forward in terms of professional goals and the direction I want to go with my life.
Anything else you want to mention about third years?
My third year has been extremely rewarding in a lot of ways, and coming upon the end of my 3 years now, it is about to be September. I'm leaving in December, and it's like such a flood of emotions, you know, positive and negative, and I can already tell that this experience, this stage in my life is something that I don't think I'm going to fully be able to understand the impact it's had on me for years to come. It's something that has impacted me not only as a person, not only like my personality, but something like down to the core, you know, like the amount of love I have for people here, for these families that I know love me too, and just like leaving is going to be really hard, but at the same time I feel like the third year has served its purpose and it's prepared me for the next step in life, and I'll be prepared for it, and I'll take the lessons I've learned from Peace Corps and from the people here and apply them to life, you know, and just try to spread the message of what Peace Corps is. Basically, people are people anywhere you go in the world, and you know, my biggest thing is like do what you can. You know, not everyone can join the Peace Corps, but you just do the little bit that you can. You know what I mean? to try to make a difference. And if everyone did what they can, the world would be a lot better. So.
And what advice would you give to somebody, a volunteer who's considering extending?
Do it. There are a lot of challenges, a lot of different challenges. The mental, physically, it can get to you sometimes, but in the end, it is very much worth it. The amount of personal strength that you develop out of it, the amount of professional growth that you get out of it is well worth the third year, definitely. So.
All right, thanks.
Awesome. I want to be a 30-year-old.